Shalom, and welcome to the first edition of the Redbridge Jewish Community video magazine. This is the first magazine of its kind in any Jewish community. Once a month we will be presenting a full issue of interesting articles about Jewish community life in Redbridge. We will bring you exclusive stories and information about activities going on within the community. We'll be focusing on important issues such as Jewish education, Jewish communal events, youth groups and family life. In future issues, we will be looking forward to the coming Jewish festivals and at Israel and facets of Israeli life. We will include interviews with members of the community and report on guests and speakers who visit us. The magazine will also cover local Jewish sporting events, cookery features, and we'll be taking a look at some of the more light-hearted things that happen. And we'll be keeping you informed of what's going on in the community. This magazine is presented by and for the Redbridge Jewish community. The magazine is a brand new idea, and we would welcome any comments or suggestions from you about this or future issues. In addition, we would like to stress again that it is a magazine for the Redbridge Jewish community and by the Redbridge Jewish community. And if you would like to help in the production of further editions, please contact us. We will give you the address at the end of this magazine. And so to our first magazine. In this edition, we shall be taking an in-depth look at what the kids were doing during the month of August. We'll be looking at the plight of Soviet Jewry through the eyes of one of our local pressure groups. We have exclusive coverage of the Israeli dance group Hora, who paid us a visit just a few weeks ago. And later on, we will expose the secret of the Dragon of Ilford. But first, as we start a new Jewish year, let us commence with the traditional greeting of apple and honey.
At Bank Leumi, a group of children from the Redbridge Jewish Youth and Community Center are presenting bank customers with the traditional Rosh Hashanah apple and honey. Customer reactions to being faced with this hospitality were first bemused, then pleased, as the children explained the tradition.
But first, being a parent brings many problems, some greater than others. Every summer, parents face the unenviable task of occupying their kids with something to do during those sweltering August days. This year was no exception. Hilary Astley reports on how approximately 450 parents found a solution.
Alright, we have a very lot to do in a very short time, as So, could I have everybody's attention, please, and please be quiet?
Please listen, because I don't want somebody coming up and saying, aren't you doing so and so? Juniors, outside is the bike scramble, and that's for all the juniors that have all been asked. For both age groups, there's badminton in the gym.
A common theme for all students is their morning assembly, which begins in utter chaos and settles into an explanation of the day ahead. Here we have Ken Hammond, who runs the Redbridge Youth and Community Centre summer scheme at their premises in Sinclair House, with approximately 200 children each day.
Computers for play centre, theatre workshop for all the children that are doing theatre workshop, the quiz on the question of
that we put inside afterwards that said that the delivery mistake was when it was printed out, the mistake came back today and last week. And it was swapped over. Today is training day. What we're doing is, this morning is normal activities.
Barkingside Summer Scheme is run by Sandra Bloom at Barkingside Jewish Youth Centre in Carlton Drive. Here they have 160 to 170 children attending each day.
Right eye in the cover over your eyes, and no peeking from anybody. Mr. You didn't cover your eyes yet. Let's go. Anyone who sees the camera means they're peeking. Right, let's go. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shein Ve'od Ma'osov La'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha.
The Lubavitch Summer Scheme, held at Newbury Park Synagogue in Wessex Close, has 55 to 60 children each day and is run by Rabbi Aryeh Safran and his brother Eli. From right to left is Sandra Bloom of Barkingside, Rabbi Aryeh Safran from the Lubavitch scheme, and Ken Hammond from Redbridge. We asked them what was the main aim of their schemes.
Our basic idea is that children remember during the summer program that it's not only when we go on vacation from school, we don't go on vacation from our heritage, so to speak, so it's all tied together.
Tried, when doing the programming and the visits and everything, to have, although the essential thing from the children's point of view was it was entertaining, we try to aim the program so that there is some educational content in it, and although it's put over in an informal and entertaining manner.
I think one of our greatest achievements was probably the integration that we had of all different age groups and of handicapped children as well. And I think the fact that we've got footballers doing other things apart from football, and we've got kids interested in things maybe they hadn't thought about before. Things do settle in children's minds, and if they've enjoyed what they've done, it doesn't matter whether they're being, I don't think anybody should have religion rammed down their throat, but if they are actually enjoying learning something, then it's not like being at school being taught, then they're going to remember it. And I think that is something that we've got to look at. It's not just the facilities, but the people and the ideas that are being offered to us, and that maybe we're not taking them up. And maybe that's something we should look towards for the future. think that, yes, it was one of our most successful summer schemes. I think the most important thing and the most important people are not us but the voluntary helpers, because without them it just wouldn't happen. We don't pay anybody to come. They get paid with the thanks that they get from the kids, and they seem to thoroughly enjoy it. God knows why they keep coming back, but they seem to get something out of it.
The Redbridge scheme is not housed in purpose-built premises and have only the use of the synagogue hall and the outside car parking area for play and sports.
Alright, we'll do one more song before we go out, okay? Are you ready?
And we want to do real oh yeah.
Okay? A 1, a 2, a 1, 2.
Everybody should swing.
Swing your goggles and say your rubbish down the river. Victoria's high road way high. Learn how to finish this time with good twist.
Oh yeah, everybody should swing.
Now,
Go to those eyes, come on.
Wait, walk, shift now. Wait, walk, shift now.
okay, now quickly, remember, 1 is the knees, 2 is hands. Hey, up the rapper's hand. So wherever we go, whoever wants to know who we are.
We're from the valley. We can't get any further. We can't get any further. We're from the valley. We can't get any further.
We had 100% non-religious kids. We had no children from a religious background at all. Besides my brother, who has 2 religious children, they also come and join us. But there's other religious families in the community, and it's an unfortunate thing, but I think that the reason that they do not send them is they are frightened that of being in direct contact with non-religious kids may come up with ideas which, as a religious parent, they don't want their children to go ahead with these ideas on such a young age. If I made the summer scheme on a much more religious basis, so then these other 50, 60 children wouldn't come because it's too religious for them. Whereas we try to make it on an educational basis with religion involved, we can't make it too religious because children are just not interested. So we do on a very, very mild effect that the children should enjoy and take something out from it.
Inside, I believe you got keys to cars that don't work. What's this?
What car doesn't work?
You know, at least 4. All right, but before we start, I'm going to tell you what points you got. By the way, everyone like my players? Okay.
The captive face of concentration remains the same from a Chinese auction in Newbury Park to the computer workshop at the Redbridge Summer Scheme.
Enter moon and you must be ready, my dear, under your arm with dog. Go on.
You, ladies, you whose gentle hearts do.
No, when you come on, I want that growl. Okay, on again, please.
And now have here deflowered my
Even Shakespeare has a place at the Redbridge Summer Scheme in their theatre workshop under the direction of Phyllis Borden.
Now die, 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 die.
Myself.
Myself to the man. In the moon. Today.
Okay, carry on.
Nothing.
Gordon what she thought the children gain from attending a summer scheme.
First of all, I think they gain friendship. They're meeting children that don't necessarily belong to the club or their own section, so socially it's very important. They're trying activities that perhaps they don't experience at school or again within their sections, and a lot are devised purely as fun. Educationally, and in particular with the outings, they're gaining something. And they're learning to relate not just with their own age group, but with older age groups and adults as well.
I think with all the facilities that each of you have to offer, and you do have different facilities, that in future years there could be some cooperation between the three of you.
I think that as far as the Newbury Park scheme, I think we could get a lot out of it. I think that maybe some of the helpers that you've got could come to us and show our kids that yes, it could be fun. And I think as far as Jewish programming is concerned, the Lubavitch or the Orthodox, or whatever you want to call them, have a lot to offer in a fun way.
We'd be more than happy to be able to come and use facilities elsewhere, because in Newbury Park we only have the use of the synagogue hall really, and we have to make do with what we could produce on our own. But facilities as a gym, etc., we don't have, and we'd be more than happy to be able to perhaps partake in Redbridge or Barmourside Club. And at the same time I feel maybe we could be influencing one another with ideas.
I can see difficulties. Now, in all fairness, if you came along and did a programme with us, in all fairness, we would have to reciprocate, because otherwise the whole objective of the exercise would be lost. And I would find that fairly difficult.
The camera crew was Sarah Minkowitz, Marilyn Bash and Pam Gilbert. The interviewer David Goldberg and director Hilary Ashley. Our next report focuses on the activities of one unique woman and her working group. Dora Gabriel is the chairman of the Essex 35s Committee, a dedicated group of women who give their time and energy to bring to public attention the serious plight of the Jews of Russia. Barry Abrahams reports.
It's 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning in Gants Hill, and the Essex 35s group are busy sending postcards with Jewish New Year's greetings written by members of the public to a rough and refuse book, a Jewish person who has been refused an exit visa. Although the results on this morning are successful, Sarah Gabriel, the chairman of the group, has some reservations about the community's awareness of their work.
We don't consider that we get sufficient support from the local Jewish community, because although we get a lot of wonderful helpers and support from good people, we feel that considering there are this great number of Jews in the Ilford area, pro rata there isn't that support that we should really be getting. And even if people come forward to adopt a family and to write to somebody, they must realise this is a lifeline and it's most effective. I can give no reason at all, because I can only say that if they could feel that if there had been effective groups at the time of the Holocaust, I don't think we would have lost 6 million Jews in the gas chambers. If we'd have had the sort of vociferous groups we've got now, those Jews would definitely have been saved. And if more Jews came forward now, we can really get the release of many, many Soviet Jews within a very near future. What we know, it's the Jewish minority in Russia that's been separated and treated so differently and so cruelly. The other minorities are not treated like that. The Jews have been sorted out. I mean, they have on their internal passport the letter J for Jew, whatever the equivalent is in Russia, the same as Hitler had. They've got exactly the same things done against them as Hitler did in Germany before he obliterated them. But every time we've done demonstrations, they've been reported back immediately, and the Soviet authorities have known of them right away. And I'll give you an instance, that when Reza Palatnik was arrested, her parents didn't know where she was. And it was 9 months before they found it out, and it was due to the fact that the 35s group, which had just been formed, went up to the Soviet embassy and stayed outside 24 hours around the clock. We slept on the pavement there, and sent a note into the Soviet ambassador to say that we weren't going to move away until he told us where Reza Palatnik was. Well, within a few days, Reza Palatnik's parents were sent for, and she was brought from the prison, and they said, we don't know what these women in London are making such a fuss about, but here's your daughter. Now, when we heard this, we realised that we could be effective.
Yeah, some of the activities can help. There are certain activities that, as a Jew, I abhor, and that's the hooliganism and violent demonstrations against visiting Soviet people, I mean musicians and trade fairs, visit various countries. I think that is the wrong way to go.
The Russians are very sensitive to their artistic people being demonstrated against. I mean, we know all this from having been told by Russian people. And they get very upset when they had the ballet dancers and the Georgian singers, etc. When we demonstrated, they just don't like it. The Russians are rather sensitive about certain things, and one thing they don't want to be thought of is one thing to anti-Semitic. They get very, very disturbed if they're accused of being anti-Semitic, and disturbed if they're accused of treating people inhumanly. We have never exaggerated on any of the accusations we've made as regards our refuseniks or prisoners, and the Russian authorities do not want the world to see them in a bad light, so ultimately they feel they let these people have their visas. Well, I'm saying to the Ilford community, please come forward and help your Soviet brethren by at least adopting a family, and that's a good start. And once you get involved, you'll be surprised, you'll want to do more, you'll have a closeness with a family, and I found this from so many people where they've ultimately sort of felt that they're part of that Russian family. So if you come forward and help in that way, there are not sufficient people in the Redbridge area who are volunteering to help Soviet Jewry.
If they want to contact, whom should they contact?
Well, if they contact me on 554-4602, Dora Gabriel, and I will give them details of how they can help.
A very remarkable lady. The cameraman was Stuart Levinson and the director Barry Abrahams. Horror, apart from being a very popular dance, acrobatically performed at bar mitzvahs and weddings, and the song title of this year's Israeli entry to the Eurovision Song Contest, is also the name of an Israeli folk dancing group from Ashkelon. On their way to Aberdeen, where they were taking part in a folk dancing festival, they paid a visit to Barkingside Jewish Youth Centre.
which was picked from 74 other groups to go to the Aberdeen Festival, not only gave Barkingside a taste of their formal display, but involved the youth club themselves in Israeli dancing.
that by the end of the evening, addresses were being exchanged and friendships formed. Finally, here's another glimpse of this memorable evening as the holidays people found their
And finally, the Redbridge Jewish Community video magazine presents The Dragon of Ilford.
The dragon?
Yes.
I cut it like this because I couldn't cut it straight. It was easier to do all the bumps.
Right.
So, as it was bumpy, I thought I might as well make it into something that was recognisable, and then it turned out to be like a dragon. Some of them think I'm a shigger. Maybe they're right, you know, but I think most of them are very amused, especially the kids. They love it. Some of them actually feed the dragon. They put food in the mouth. No, they call it Puff the Magic Dragon.
How old is he?
It's quite old. It's over 30 years old now.
Well, that's it. We hope you enjoyed watching this first edition of the Redbridge Jewish Community video magazine. If you have any comments or suggestions, or indeed would like to help in the production of future magazines, then please write or phone the Redbridge Jewish Community Video Magazine, care of Barkingside Jewish Youth Centre, Carlton Drive, Barkingside, Ilford, Essex, or telephone 01 551 1596. You will be able to get future editions of the magazine from Barkingside Jewish Youth Centre, Redbridge Jewish Youth and Community Centre, and selected video shops in the Redbridge area. A big thank you to all those who helped with this month's magazine, and especially to Mori Ayalon, the motivating force behind the whole project. So until next month, this is Victor Leaf and Maggie Shelter, thanking you for watching and wishing you all Shana Tova, a Happy New Year.